weightlifting comp is done. That was 10 weeks done, trained for that. Got the results I wanted. Now it's time to get back into powerlifting again and get back into it seriously. So I'm now done with the 83 kilo class. Now it's time to move up to the 93s. Now 93s is in Powerlifting Australia is one of the most stacked weight classes there is. It's one of the most fun weight classes it's going to be. So obviously it's going to be the most challenging, and challenging for me is fun. So it's time to move up to the 93s, put on some weight, and then you know, obviously some lean tissue, and be able to convert that into strength. Some goals I have for the 93 kilo classes: I want to move up there and take out the top spot there as well, take out the first place in the 93s in Australia, further extend the deadlift record. I should beat that and extend it. I'm hoping for you know, medium term for a 350 deadlift at least. One of the goals I would really like to achieve is to get the highest deadlift in Powerlifting Australia's history in the 93s. The highest like absolute weight, not pound for pound. So that's going to be obviously a tough thing to do, because there's so many great deadlifters that are lifting now and in the past. So it would be great to achieve that. It's one of the things I want. And then long term, be able to beat the world record in the deadlift in the 93s, which is of course Christoph Wawicki's deadlift. Guys, dude's an absolute monster. So to be able to get that kind of a number, I really need to put in the effort. It's going to take quite some time. I'm talking, you know, probably a couple of years, if not longer. But back to what we're doing now. So now it's off-season time, off-season programming. I have no comps planned till like the next big comp that I have in mind is national championships next year, which is going to be in October. So I've got plenty of time to train till then, and the aim will be to get jacked, to get somewhat more tanned. I don't know how much more tan I can get, and to just be able to put on some size on the places that I lack, bring up some weaknesses, further build on my strengths, and be able to put out some respectable totals where I can compete with the guys over there, because they all did awesome at this year's national championships. I was there, I was watching it, I was cheering them on. So let's get at it. First things first, this cycle is much more like a bodybuilding type of program than it is powerlifting. It's time to step back, step away from super heavy lifting all the time. Time to get into, you know, do higher frequency bodybuilding style training now. You know, got leg days, got back days, you know, train all the major muscle groups twice a week, all the smaller muscle groups about 4 times a week, and everything higher reps. We're talking, you know, in the 8 to 12 rep range, and away we go from there. Except for the bread and butter lifts like the deadlifts and things like that, I'll keep it at least, you know, at 6 reps, just to be able to touch on that sort of like high-ish intensity. So we're going to start with deadlifts first. I'm going to work up to about 2 or 5. I'm going to do my deadlifts touch and go, and I'll explain in a second why. So let's get to it. Follow me while I make my workout shake. My workout shake is nothing too fancy. It's just carb powder. It's just Powerade, Gatorade, Staminate powder. I always make it for my workouts where I know it's going to be more strenuous. I know it's going to use more compound muscle groups, bigger muscle groups, and I know it's going to go for at least an hour and a half or so. I know with my body, I definitely perform better with carbs in the system because my body prefers it, as does most people's bodies when they're training. So I mean, there are some people who do swear that they feel better on an empty stomach. I do as well, but these people also swear that having any amount of carbs before or during training makes them feel maybe sluggish or something like that. I think that they may be overdoing the carbs because for me anyway, my body definitely prefers carbs by far. I feel much better. I feel like my time to exhaustion gets increased, so I can train for longer. I can be mentally ready and enthusiastic to train for longer just by doing this. I don't take any creatine or BCAAs or anything like that. Sometimes I might put them in maybe, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks out from competition or something like that. But you know, I haven't had a solid bodybuilding training block for a long time. So maybe I'll start putting those into my training more and more, because obviously there's no point, because if your nutrition is not dialed in, if your training is not good, there's no point having like creatine or whatever. It's just really not going to do that much. It will make maybe a couple of percentages of a difference, and that's in the long term, if that. So I just want to make sure, firstly, my recovery is on point. I want to make sure that my training is on point. I want to make sure that my nutrition's on point. I'm having enough calories I'm supposed to be having to recover, enough macronutrients I'm supposed to be having to recover. And then, you know, on top of that, when that's all dialed in, I'll start thinking about creatine or whatever else. So anyway, the reason why we're doing touch and go deadlifts is, normally I don't do touch and go deadlifts. Normally I don't advocate for it, especially in a strength block leading into a powerlifting competition. The reason is because I think that not doing a touch and go, doing it stop start, is much better for a powerlifting competition. It's much more specific, because obviously in competition the bar is resting on the ground and you have to pull it from the ground. It also teaches you to brace tight every single rep, because you're pulling it from a dead stop, and gives you good practice at having power off the ground. So to me that's very important, and that's why in a strength block, me and pretty much everybody here that trains here, everyone that we train at Adonis Athletics, we don't advocate for touch and go. But now it's a different case, because now we're in off season, and touch and go in itself has a couple of advantages over stop and start deadlifts. The main advantage is that with the whole set, you have to keep your back and your core engaged, especially your upper back. You have to try and keep it as straight as possible, keep it flexed, keep it tense, so it increases the time under tension, helps develop it a little bit better, I think. And plus it also gives you like a bit of a mental break from doing it all the time, you know, stop and start. It's just something different to look forward to. So I think it's warranted, and you should use it in the far off season, because obviously don't need that much specificity in the far off season. So let's keep going up. The aim is to start the top set at about 205 and then go from there. So last week my day one was all legs and lower body. So I was doing like squats and good mornings and leg presses and all that jazz. And by the day two, which would be today, last week, my body was super sore. So even these weights felt really heavy and hard. But by now it's the second week, like the 1 week is through, my body's used to it, and I was getting used to it quickly. Obviously because it's got better readiness for training. So the top set last week was 200 for 6, which was manageable, but still, because I was so sore, it was tough. But today I'm feeling better, so I might have to actually go heavier than 205. So that's where things need to change on the fly with training. Nothing is really set in stone all the time. If you feel a little bit better, if body is adjusting, your work capacity is going up, things need to change as well to go along with that. So we'll work up, we'll see how like this set or the next one feels, and then maybe I'll increase it to 210 instead of 2.5. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so as you can see, I'm using reps. The reason is because I've always done alternate grip deadlifts, and over time it can cause some imbalances to develop in the back and things like that. So especially now this is off season, putting a double overhand, try and maybe even out any imbalances that there are, or at least not cause any further imbalances. And obviously alongside with that, I'm going to have to keep working on my grip so I don't lose my grip. That's very important. A lot of people use the wrist wraps, but they forget about grip work altogether, and so they find that their grip starts to lack. But the other thing is, you'll notice I'm doing conventional stance deadlifts. I pull in competition, I pull sumo. But now again, being off season and conventional being something that I don't usually get to do much, I want to work on it much more, because it's going to obviously develop some muscles that I don't usually get to work as much, and that's going to be of benefit to me. So I'm feeling a bit better today, not as sore as last week. So I'll put on some extra weight. It was supposed to be 205 originally. I'm going to go to 210. Try to bust this out for 6 reps, touch and go. Now if you have a look at my technique, you'll see that I'm trying my hardest to hold the brakes tight every rep, touch the ground gently, and not lose any tension in my upper back as I move through it. That's very important. That's the whole point of it doing it like this. So let's see if I can hit this for 6. Obviously belt lift. Yeah, focus. Go down now. Keep going on. So it should always be in this part of this far out from competition, this point of the season. Every compound exercise, like the deadlift, like the squat and stuff like that, they should feel like there's 2 to 3 more left in the tank. So at this point of the season, if I was to push things to super grindy levels, I'll be struggling on every set, trying to finish it. Like the strength is not there, then I'm setting myself up for failure, because I will eventually outrun my body's ability to recover. And we go through this in detail in our seminars and in the internship program that we're doing right now, which goes for 12 weeks, which is called the Pillars of Performance. We cover this in detail, where at different points of the season, you must assign and prescribe intensities where is appropriate for that part of the season. If you're pushing everything close to super intense levels and barely have anything left in the tank by the time the set is finished, you're going to struggle in the next set and the next set and in the next session and the upcoming sessions. You'll eventually outrun your body's ability to recover in time. So you got to be careful of that. And at this point of the season, because we've just started, the aim is to just, for hypertrophy, aim is to go close to failure. For exercises that are more single joint, not as technical and not as dangerous, yes, you can push to complete failure, and that's fine. You know, for things like, I don't know, lat pull downs, bicep curls, things like that. But for squats, for deadlifts, for bench press, things like that, failure is probably not the best thing to do at this point in the season, or ever really. So that's why you see things aren't super grinds. You never do that. Anyway, that's deadlifts done. That's probably one of the fastest times I've gotten through that much volume of deadlifts. And what that does is it pushes up your work capacity. And hopefully that work capacity then carries over later. When I go into my strength box, I can do more work and recover from it. And when I can do more work than my competitors, it usually will mean that in the long term, hopefully, I'll be able to beat them. So we'll pack that up now. We'll do some accessories, get these wings worked on, you know what I mean? Work on that flying capabilities. Let's do it. We're going to be doing a little segment like this, where we're going to be basically answering your guys' questions. Not just me, but me and the other Adonis Athletics coaches and our panel of experts. So obviously we've got our newest addition to the team, Alex Fielding, who's very knowledgeable in movement and rehab. He's going to be chiming in on any questions that you may have that may be in relation to that. We've got our other coach, who you guys don't get to see much of, but he does some weightlifting. He's an excellent weightlifter. Philip Lau, he might chime in on some of the answers that you may have. So if you have any questions, just put them up on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, hashtag Ask Adonis, and we'll pick and choose the questions and we'll reply back to them, and hopefully we can help you guys with some of your training. So until next episode, this is Amir Fazeli, Adonis Athletics, over and out.